From Citizen TV, this is the Monday Report with Trevor Ombija.
Good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in to Citizen TV. We hope you had a fantastic weekend and a great start to your week. This is the Monday Report and I am Trevor Ombija. Thank you for tuning in. So later on we'll have a very important conversation. In January, the Ministry of Education and the country at large will witness one of the most significant transitions in the curriculum-based education. The movement from junior school to senior school, grade 9 to grade 10. That is also the time when the students will choose one of the three pathways. There are lots of questions that have come up. Are the schools ready? Are the parents ready? Are the students themselves ready? That is why Citizen TV is starting a series of town halls to discuss that very important conversation on the transition from grade 9 to 10 on the competency-based education. We'd like to hear your views at Trevor Ombija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Citizen Monday Report. This conversation is in collaboration with Zizi Afrique Foundation. We have parents here, we have students here, we have all the people in the education stakeholders who are going to talk about this very important transition. My guest later on in the evening will be Martha Mugi. She's a Vice Chair, National Parents Association, Nairobi County. Also, Catherine Birir will be here. She's the head of Institution Unity Comprehensive School. Dr. John Mugo, Executive Director, Zizi Afrique Foundation. Dr. William Sugut, Head of Directorate of the Secondary Education, which is the senior secondary education. Send in all your questions because tonight we'll start off that conversation where they get answered in real time. All right, but before we get into that conversation, our top stories tonight. Death at State House. A GSU officer killed after being shot with an arrow by an intruder who attempted to force his way into State House.
You can do PR and public gimmicks with everything else, but you cannot do gimmicks with healthcare.
Health crisis in Kiambu. Doctors down tools paralyzing services across the county, demanding better terms, including promotions.
And those who are wishing him ill are not good people because it is against the African tradition to wish anybody ill, even your worst enemy.
Leaders warn opposition against politicizing Raila Odinga's health as Kindiki reassures the public that the ODM leader is in good health. The driver of the Kibra Member of Parliament fined 100,000 shillings for breaking traffic rules in Nairobi. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Our sign language tonight is Belinda Phillips. So tonight we begin with a shocking breach at one of the country's most secure installations, State House, Nairobi. A GSU officer stationed at the main entrance was attacked and fatally wounded by an intruder who attempted to force his way into the compound. The assailant, armed with a spear, struck just once outside Gate D, and access point often used by members of the public. And as Franklin Wala now reports, in a separate incident, another GSU officer manning JKIA's perimeter wall was strangled to death by a civilian. Two officers from the elite unit have now been killed within 24 hours. Both suspects are in police custody awaiting court proceedings.
At exactly 8:10 a.m., panic gripped the main entrance of State House, Nairobi, when this man forcefully attempted to gain entry into the heavily guarded compound. Efforts by GSU officers manning the gate to stop him were met with fierce resistance. The intruder, armed with a bow and arrows, retreated briefly before ducking behind a vehicle under routine security checks. In a flash, he pulled out a bow from a sack, took aim, and released an arrow, striking one of the officers in the chest. The officer collapsed as his colleagues scrambled to neutralize the threat. He was rushed to Kenyatta National Hospital, but doctors pronounced him dead on arrival. Back at the scene, officers subdued and arrested the attacker, later identified as 56-year-old Kithuka Kimunyi. In a brief interrogation, the suspect bizarrely claimed he had been sent by Satan to commit the act. The shocking incident, now under investigation as a murder case, occurred within one of the country's most secure installations. The fallen officer has since been identified as Ramadan Hamisi Matanka. His family, still in disbelief, arrived at KNH moments moments after being informed of his death. His father described him as a devoted son, their only child who had left home that morning in high spirits after a brief prayer. Barely an hour later, at around 9 a.m., a phone call shattered their peace. His father says he was told his only child, his pride and hope, was gone. The family is now awaiting a post-mortem as they prepare to lay their loved one to rest, holding on to hope that justice will prevail. The suspect remained detained at Kilimani police station awaiting court process. Meanwhile, in a separate incident, another GSU officer, Nashon Katumo, who was manning a perimeter wall at JKIA, was strangled to death by a civilian. His killing brings to 2 the number of GSU officers slain by members of the public within just 24 hours. An unsettling reminder of the dangers faced by those guarding the nation's most critical installations. Franklin Wala, Citizen TV.
Away from that, health crisis in Kiambu County got even worse after doctors fully withdrew from all health facilities and staged demonstrations along the streets. The doctors under the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, who were on the 138th day of the strike, accused the county of playing politics with people's lives. The union has embarked on a collection of signatures in the county to petition the president to dissolve the county. And as Mary Mwoki now reports, Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale waded into the protracted strike, calling for an urgent resolution to what he describes as a full-blown health crisis. Duale sounded the alarm over rising maternal deaths in the region, blaming county leadership for what he termed as failure in governance.
They came out in force outside Kiambu Level 5 Hospital, donned in their white coats. They swapped their stethoscopes for vuvuzelas and blasted away. On normal days, they would ordinarily be on the other side of this gate treating patients. But on Monday, Kiambu doctors staged demonstrations outside the Kiambu Level 5 Hospital, protesting what they call the county's inaction and indifference as the strike drags on for a staggering 138 days.
Daktari ambao wamegoma sasa, kadri ya nusu mwaka serikali imefanya kila kitu isipokuwa kuwarejesha kazini. That you want the healthcare status of Kiambu reinstated to its deserved position immediately. Many to kill. Translated, Governor, your days are numbered.
You can do PR and public gimmicks with everything else, but you cannot do gimmicks with healthcare. The doctors have been out of work, pushed by the county government for now 138 days. Mothers have gone home without their children. Yet the hospitals are here without drugs. The hospitals are here and people cannot get care.
The county, which denied reports of any maternal and neonatal deaths resulting from the strike, has seemingly caught the attention of the health CS Aden Duale, who now says the ministry has evidence of maternal deaths in the county, adding that he will discuss the matter with Parliament on Wednesday. The Doctors' Union now says they will commence a nationwide doctors' strike next week in solidarity with Kiambu Medics to compel the national government to take over the matter.
We are going to set in place mechanisms for the dissolution of the county government of Kiambu.
We're going to be collecting signatures, 10% of the residents of Kiambu, that's 120,000, to petition the Parliament, to petition the President to dissolve this county. Because there's no way we can continue watching people dying.
If some counties don't want to fix their health sector, then you don't blame us. Leadership is what is required. So if you can solve your leadership, and the maternal mortality rate in that county is very high, we have evidence. So when you are a leader, don't live in denial. You have been elected to serve the people of Kenya.
The union accuses the administration of ignoring a return-to-work agreement signed last year and of neglecting the suffering of residents who have borne the brunt of the health crisis. Mary Mwoki, Citizen TV.
Now, all the bodies of the missing persons from last Friday's boat tragedy in Chuda, Mombasa, have been retrieved from the ocean. 2 of the remaining bodies were located and retrieved early this morning and taken to the county mortuary awaiting post-mortem examinations. The recoveries come as the county distanced itself from approvals and clearance for the festival. Mombasa County Governor stated that the organizers did not seek or get clearance before staging the event. Brenda Wanga has more.
Under the cover of darkness and motivated by the retrieval of one of the bodies of the missing 3 young men who drowned when their competition canoe capsized on Friday, this group of young divers toiled, battling the waves with dogged determination. And just after midnight, their efforts were rewarded when the ocean gave up the remaining 2 bodies. The first body was found near the scene of the accident, stuck in mangrove trees, while the other body was found near the Nyali Bridge as it was being pushed by currents. The recovery bringing closure for their kin who had spent the last 3 days in uncertainty and agony. For the nearly 24 young men in the ill-fated boat, this competition could have been a hefty payday for them. They say the organizers had promised mouth-watering cash prizes that were too good to resist for the poverty-stricken Jomvu youth.
Mshindi wa kwanza alikuwa anachukua $300,000. Mshindi wa pili $200,000. Mshindi wa tatu $100,000. Na kutoka hapa si ilikuwa hatutumii afya yetu. Kulikuwa na transport zilikuwa zinakuja.
Niyo pesa maana ya boli ameikosa. Labda niyo pesa alikuwa anafuata. Ndio sasa niletee mchanga. Ameniletea kaburi mtoto wangu. Ameniletea kaburi, hakuna kitu nimefaidi.
The bereaved family said their young men were not seasoned seafarers and the lack of safety equipment on board the canoes was also flagged early on.
Na Caleb ana uzoefu wote wa kupiga mbinzi ama wa kuogelea.
Hiyo ndo safety ya kwanza ukiingia baharini. Lakini tuliko na si hatukuulizia. Tuliulizia tukaambiwa ukipata life jacket kwa boti yako ni sawa, ukikosa ni sawa.
And as the families mourn their departed ones, the county government of Mombasa is now throwing a spanner into the already tragic works. According to the county head, the organizers of the event, the East African Ocean Festival, did not seek nor get clearance to stage the festival and the competition.
No such permit was ever issued by the county government of Mombasa. What we are aware is last year we were part of the sponsors of this event. This year, we were not part of the sponsors of this event.
The search and rescue turned search and recovery exercise concluded with the retrieval of all the missing body, turning the authorities' attention to investigations into how the festival was organized, whether the safety protocols were observed, and how the event was allowed to proceed without the county's disaster management committee's involvement, and most importantly, clearance. In the meantime, the committee has resolved that no such event will be conducted without the clearance of the said committee. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
Now, Kibra Member of Parliament Peter Orero's driver George Oduor has today been fined 100,000 shillings after pleading guilty to charges of dangerous overtaking. Kibra MP, who was captured alongside his driver on the wrong side of the road, broke his silence and apologized to Kenyans for his behavior. Emmanuel To has more.
He climbed to the dock, his demeanor stark contrast of the arrogance and impunity he expressed 4 days ago. Kibra Member of Parliament Peter Orero's driver George Oduor pleading guilty to the Milimani court following a viral video that captured him blocking motorists along Loitoktok Road. Subdued and with a trembling voice, the driver, who on Thursday was beaming with insults, pleading with the court to forgive him.
Hakuna siku nimewahi kufanya kazi kama hiyo, makosa kama hiyo. So, ni yangu ya kwanza nilikuwa naomba koti nisamehe na sitawahi rudia tena.
We have the belief that the said obstruction and dangerous overtaking was intentional.
You'll pay a fine of 100,000 in default to serve 12 months imprisonment. You have 14 days right of appeal.
The legislator, who was also captured in the video, apologized for his unbecoming and dishonorable conduct.
Na naona mmoja wao yuko hapa, yule aniliweka sana kwa Citizen, na muona hapa, na hata leo mseme sisi we are law abiding citizens, watu wa Kibra, na yule anawasimamia ni mtu ana abide na law. Hiyo siku ni ile kuoverlap kidogo na driver wangu wakashikwa kona mbaya. Tumeongea na OCPD, tumeongea na base commander, wamefanya kazi yao, amepigwa fine leo na ametoka, tuko naye hapa na ameomba msamaha.
The driver and the MP are also accused of insulting journalist Larry Madowo in a video that has now gone viral. Orero was speaking during the commissioning of the Kibra Solar Street Lighting Project. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, thousands of public university students remain in limbo as the lecturers and staff strike enters day 28 after talks to end the stalemate collapsed. University unions have rejected the government's offer demanding full payment of the 7.9 billion shillings arrears under the 2017-2021 CBA. This even as Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba expressed optimism that a breakthrough could be reached after 3 days of intense negotiations. Willie Lusige has more.
28 days on, lecture halls across all 42 public universities remain deserted. Lecturers and university staff insist they will not return to work until the government pays the outstanding 7.9 billion shillings in salary arrears, part of the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement. The two unions, Uwasu and KUSU, walked out of Monday's talks without a deal, vowing to sustain the strike until the government shows commitment. They dismissed the offer tabled earlier as insufficient and insincere.
This is the message to the whole country. Yes. The strike is going to continue until don't get 7.9 billion.
Lecturers are standing their ground, demanding full payment of the 7.9 billion shillings. They are also pushing for the 2025-2029 agreement to be fast-tracked, negotiated and fully implemented to avoid a repeat of the current stalemate.
Mgomo unaendelea. Mgomo upo na wako kwenye mgomo kwa sababu wako na nia, wako na sababu na uwezo wa kuendelea nao.
Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migoso Gamba had early expressed hope that the standoff will end by tonight, saying talks between the government unions and the Salaries and Remuneration Commission were in the final stages.
So the teams met to look at the documents and verify those facts, and they are going to do a report today, and from there we'll be able to give the country a way forward.
But the prolonged strike continues to take a toll on students and parents who are growing increasingly anxious about the fate of the academic calendar. With the lecturers at standstill, many students have been left in limbo. At Kisii University, some have turned to sports and leisure activities to pass time as the strike drags on with no end in sight.
Hakuna kitu tunafanya, tunawatch mpira huko kwa uwanja. Masomo yaendelee saizi, tunakaa tu bure.
Sisi wengine tunaona tukidifa na hii issue ikiendelea hivi naona wengi wetu hata tukiacha shule.
With the talks stalled and the strike now headed into its second month, fears are growing that history could repeat itself, just like in 2017 when a similar lecturer strike lasted nearly 3 months and brought learning to a halt nationwide as dons fought for the implementation of their CBA. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, President William Ruto has hit back at his former ally turned critic Ndindi Nyoro for faulting the government's affordable housing project and the Nyota Youth Program, saying that those opposing the initiatives have no concrete alternative proposals and only engage in empty talk without offering solutions. The president was speaking in Konza, where he launched phase 1 of the infrastructure and smart city facilities at Konza Technopolis. Melita Oletenges has the details.
The much-publicized affordable housing projects and the Nyota program, key flagship initiatives of the Kenya Kwanza administration, have come under sharp criticism from President Ruto's former ally, Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro. Nyoro has been dissecting the country's economic situation, accusing the government of misplaced priorities that have led to excessive foreign borrowing, but the president has pushed back.
Kama wewe ni kiongozi
na uko na sera na mpango tofauti bora kuliko hii yetu, tueleze. Usiseme ati mpango yako ni kuja kuondoa affordable housing. Sasa hiyo ni ujinga. You know, think if William Ruto wants to do 1 million houses, tell us how you are going to do 2 million or 3 million. Don't tell us you are going to bring down what William Ruto is doing. That is stupidity.
According to the government, the Nyota program, funded by the World Bank, is designed to uplift vulnerable youth through skills training, entrepreneurship support, and financial empowerment. But Ndindi Nyoro argues that if borrowing is unavoidable, the government should at least match the World Bank's funding.
Hiyo pesa ya Nyota ni pesa ya World Bank. Ni pesa ya banki kuu ya dunia. Na kwa hivyo mimi ningeomba hata hii pesa Kenya inakopa mingi. Kama World Bank wanatupea bilioni 5, si serikali ya Kenya ingeweka bilioni 5, wale yuzo wanapewa waongezeke maradufu, ama badala ya kupewa 50,000 wapewe hata 100,000 waanze biashara mzuri.
Hii ni mpango ya serikali, wametupatia loan. Usikia watu wengine wanasema ati ni project ya World Bank. Project ya World Bank gani? Mtu akikupatia benki ikupatia pesa uende ujenge nyumba, hiyo nyumba ni ya benki ama ni yako?
The president maintains that his critics are not forward-thinking, accusing them of shallow arguments that derail the country's development agenda.
The young people of Kenya have a point. They are tired of mediocrity, of small thinking, of the usual, of the average. They want us to up our game.
The fallout between the president and his once most trusted ally is now playing out in the public, with the former budget committee chair seemingly spilling the beans on what he calls the government's borrowing miscalculations, a move that appears to be rattling the head of state. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
Now, beyond the borders, US President Donald Trump's peace plan has seen the release of Israel hostages and Palestinian prisoners. The deal is part of a wider ceasefire process that includes other world leaders that seeks to resolve one of the world's most complex and decades-old geopolitical crises. Uncertainty, however, remains over the future of Gaza, Hamas, and whether the next phase of the ceasefire will hold. Ayub Abdikadir reports on Trump's latest peace process and what it means for the Middle East.
America's self-declared peacemaker president landed in Tel Aviv. To see the fulfillment of the first phase of the peace process he helped midwife. And on a day when Israeli hostages held by Hamas were released, more than 2 years since October the 7th.
Yes! Yes!
A short trip to West Jerusalem took Trump to the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, where America's 47th president took credit of a process he billed as historic.
It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East.
The first phase of the deal saw the release of 154 Palestinian detainees, who after their release will be exiled. As part of the deal, and additional 1,700 detainees held without a charge in Israeli prisons. Trump's Tel Aviv visit corresponded with families who reunited with their loved ones after their release by Hamas, marking an end to 2 years of constant push for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to reach a deal with Hamas. In Hostages Square, they have held vigil since October the 7th, a day also celebrated by Trump to standing ovation by the Knesset. From Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, a short flight aboard Air Force One took Donald Trump to Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, to an awaiting congregation of more than 20 world leaders and their host Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, to see what next for Gaza and discuss Trump's 20-point peace plan. His plan may have ended hostility for now, but America's next move on the two-state solution to the conflict remains replete with many unknowns. As families reunite in Israel and Palestinians return to a decimated strip, questions abound on the next phase of the ceasefire and whether all parties will adhere to it. Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV.
All right, on that note, we're taking a quick break here on the Monday Report. When we come back, I'll take you through some stories, get into some business news, sporting action, and then we get into this conversation. Come January, one of the most crucial transitions in the CBE will be happening. That is the transition from the junior school to senior school, grade 9 to grade 10. And that is also the time when the students will choose one of 3 pathways, either STEM, social sciences, arts, and music. However, are the schools ready? Are the parents themselves ready? Are the students ready? Do the teachers know what they need to teach? That is the conversation we'll be having later on as Citizen TV starts its series of town halls. We're going to discuss the CBE transition. Martha Mugi will be here. She's the Vice Chair, National Parents Association, Nairobi County. Dr. John Mugu, Executive Director, Zizi Afrique Foundation, will be joining us here as well. Catherine Birir is the Head of Institution Unity Comprehensive School, and Dr. William Sugut, Head Directorate of Secondary Education at the Senior School as well. That conversation will be had right here on the town hall. But also tomorrow, there's another conversation still on the same situation in the education sector, which will be had by Wansam Gituku and Elimu Mashinani. Some of the questions that will come from this town hall will be posed in that other town hall on Tuesday. But for tonight, this is where the focus will be, the transition from grade 9 to grade 10. How ready are we? Keep your views coming as well at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Citizen Monday Report. See you in just a bit. Welcome back. Let's talk about a bit of politics. 9 leaders allied to the government have hit out at the opposition, warning them against politicizing the health of ODM leader Raila Odinga. Speaking in Siaya County, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki called for sobriety, urging the political class to focus on issue-based and constructive politics. At the same time, the Deputy President put contractors on notice over delays in the implementation of key development projects across the country. Laura Otieno has more.
The pro-government brigade landed in Siaya County on Monday, taking the stage to clear the air over the health of ODM leader Raila Odinga, a matter that has sparked widespread speculation in recent days. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki lashed out what he termed naysayers, accusing them of spreading unnecessary alarm and politicizing the issue.
Raila Odinga is safe and healthy. I have spoken to him. And those who are wishing him ill are not good people, because it is against the African tradition to wish anybody ill, even your worst enemy.
These people of Siaya are supportive of the current government in this broad-based arrangement. This broad-based arrangement is the best arrangement we have had. We have a genuine arrangement which is giving some development to our people.
Wale kawa, wale hawana habari, wanazungumzia habari ya afya ya Raila Odinga. Sisi ni kazi, kazi, kazi endelee.
Accompanied by a host of MPs, the leaders were in Siaya for a fundraiser in support of Boda Boda SACCOs. Royal Media Services Chairman Dr. S.K. Macharia underscored the need to empower the Boda Boda sector, describing it as a key driver of the local economy.
Tunatengeneza program. Kila mtu ya boda boda apige hiyo namba, ajirejiste, aweke logo kuku yake na ID yake, na kila mahali unaenda utajulikana. Na kama unapatwa na ushikwa na polisi, tutawapatia namba ile wanaweza piga na ku make sure that you are fully licensed boda boda.
The team later held an empowerment forum in Kuresoi North, where Deputy President Kithure Kindiki put contractors on notice over delays in the implementation of government projects.
Soko ya pili inajengwa pale Total, pale Kamara. Hiyo soko vile vile ni ya 55 million na iko 30%. Mimi nitaharakisha contractor in 2 to 3 months. Hiyo soko ikamilike.
Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Now, DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua is tonight facing backlash from a section of residents in Kirinyaga, Embu and Nakuru following his attacks on Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru and her Embu counterpart Cecily Mbarire. Gachagua, while touring the two counties last week, claimed that the governors were being used by President William Ruto to split the Mount Kenya vote ahead of the 2027 elections, urging residents to shun them. Supporters of Waiguru and Mbarire have condemned his remarks, terming them insightful and disrespectful to women leaders. Gatete Njoroge has more.
It was a tense Monday morning in Kutu's Kirinyaga County as business came to a standstill. Residents poured into the streets, waving placards and chanting slogans to protest the remarks made by DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua against Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru. Gachagua, during his recent tour of the Mount Kenya region, had alleged that Governor Waiguru was among leaders being used by President William Ruto to divide the region ahead of the 2027 elections.
Watu wanatumiwa na Ruto. Wewe Governor Waiguru, wewe Karinda, kwani nyinyi hamna akili? Ruto wako pale anaunganisha jamii yake ya Rift Valley ndio aweze kutafuta uongozi. Mimi nasema hapa tuungane.
The residents who described the remarks as disrespectful accused the former deputy president of attempting to incite locals against their elected leaders.
Wewe ukatukana mtu akiwa kwake nyumbani. Inakutekana kweli? Haiwezekani. Tunakuja hapa kukataa kusema gavana wetu Waiguru apewe heshima.
Similar protests were also witnessed in Embu, where a section of residents came out in defense of Governor Cecily Mbarire, saying Gachagua's remarks were uncalled for, divisive, and unbecoming of a national leader. The group accused Gachagua of sowing discord among local leaders and denying the county the unity needed to attract meaningful development.
His remarks have time and again been vulgar, disrespectful, and abusive to our leaders. He has mastered the art of inciting the community against both the county and national government.
Hapa katika Mlima tuko na our deputy president anaitwa Kithure Kindiki mwenye tumechaguliwa na tumeona hata anatuita kwake. Wewe ulikuwa kwa serikali miaka 2, ulituita hata siku moja utuelezee vile serikali inafanya kazi.
Some of the women governors have hit out at the DCP party leader, saying his remarks are a clear reflection of a dwindling political career built on personal attacks and divisive rhetoric.
Sasa akishindwa kupigana na wanaume, ameangalia hivi wanaume wamemweza, si ndio? Si alienda huko bunge akaimpichiwa na wanaume huko. Sasa amezunguka akaona wamama ndio ataweza. Gachagua.
The protesting groups are now demanding that Gachagua issue an apology to women leaders. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
Kenya Miles Infrastructure Fund to fast-track modernization drive as President Ruto launches first phase of Konza Metropolis for uptake.
Thanks for staying with Citizen TV. Now, President William Ruto has announced plans to establish a national infrastructure fund to accelerate Kenya's transition into a modern first-world economy through large-scale investments in roads, water, energy, and digital connectivity. The president, who was speaking during the launch of Phase 1 of Konza Technopolis, noted that the government is determined to build on flagship projects that will have a snowball effect in the economy. Jimmy Bogo has more.
The completion of the first phase of Konza Technopolis now sets the stage for interested investors to set up shop in the expansive 5,000 acres location. And the last 11 years has seen an increase in investment in setting up horizontal infrastructure, including the construction of 40 kilometers of modern road network, the laying of 170 kilometers of water piping, 6 kilometers of utility channels, and a 7.5 million litre per day waste reclamation plant. According to President William Ruto, the launch ushers in a new dawn in modern living, positioning Konza as a model of sustainable urban cities.
What excites me most is the human transformation taking shape here. Konza is creating thousands of jobs, internships, and innovation opportunities for our young people. More than 4,000 Kenyans have already been employed here, with 1,000 more expected by mid-2026. and 10,000 projected in light manufacturing alone. The average age of Kenya's workforce here is just 28 years.
The president has also hinted at the creation of an infrastructure fund to pull resources together to be used in a quote-unquote innovative manner. In the expansion of the country's power output to 10,000 megawatts, the fund will also be used to expand the road infrastructure by dualling at least 1,000 kilometers, building an additional 10,000 kilometers of road across the country, and ensuring that the airport and water resources are upgraded.
We need to build more infrastructure. Roads, rail, airport. You people have talked about all of them here. You've talked about roads, you've talked about rail, you've talked about airport, right? That is what we need to do in Kenya. Today, we don't have an airport. We have a makeshift something on the runway in Jomo Kenyatta. And we are busy with a conversation. Oh, yes, oh, I don't know who, what, where. You know, useless conversation. We need to be serious.
The president also laid the foundation stone at the affordable housing site, which is set to see the building and completion of over 1,000 units by the end of 2026.
Hapa sasa tuko na mambo mengi ambayo ni ya first world. Hapa pia tutakuwa na affordable housing, kuhakikisha kwamba wale ambao watafanya kazi katika city ya Konza watakuwa na makao hapa, and they will also have smart homes hapa Konza, na itakuwa katika ile bei ya kawaida ya affordable housing.
With the completion of the first phase of construction here at Konza Metropolis, the government is now calling on investors to set up camp here, even as it targets to create at least 10,000 jobs in the coming years. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, from Konza Metropolis in Makueni County.
Now, Kenya's tea industry could soon operate under a new set of rules aimed at improving transparency, quality, and farmer earnings. The Tea Board of Kenya has unveiled draft regulations that promise to streamline payments and standardize green leaf quality across the regions. Our reporter Dennis Otieno has the details.
At the Tea House in Nairobi, stakeholders in the tea value chain gathered for a validation forum on the draft tea regulations and green leaf quality requirements, a key step before the laws are gazetted. The proposed framework seeks to address long-standing concerns among smallholder farmers.
The regulation will spell the payment timelines. In the Act, it says you pay 50% to the farmer. The remaining should be paid within three months. This will address the issue of cash flow from the farmers. And then number two, the value addition of 40%. This will again make our teas to be value added, not in the bulk form. You know, we are 95% exporter of bulk teas. So we are really re-engineering to make sure that 40% of what we produce is value added at the country.
The board is also calling for improved consistency in green leaf quality, particularly among Western Kenya growers, to attract better buyers and prices.
So we are still urging the farmers not to uproot tea, let them embrace quality and contain the cost. And we will all work together the journey to make sure that they sell. Tea is not a political issue. We need to really make sure that we separate the tea business and the politics.
The draft regulations, developed in consultation with the Ministry of Agriculture, are expected to be finalized after public input, setting the stage for a more transparent and competitive tea sector. Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV.
Well, time now for some sporting action. The national football team Harambee Stars held their first training session in Abidjan, that's in Ivory Coast, ahead of their final Group F match of 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers set for Tuesday. Although the Stars are out of contention for a spot at next year's global showpiece, host Ivory Coast have everything to play for, as a win would guarantee them a direct ticket to the 2026 World Cup in the USA, Mexico and in Canada. All eyes now turn to Tuesday's decisive fixtures as Ivory Coast face Kenya in Abidjan and second-place Gabon host Burundi, matches that will ultimately determine who secures the group's coveted automatic qualification slot.
Ni pressure kubwa kwa sababu ni jezi na carry weight sana. Kwa tuna represent millions of Kenyans. Kwa hivyo mimi kwangu ni pressure each time na wear jezi na kila time napeana my best.
World Cup tuliingia tukiwa halfway na sasa hii kitu tunataka ni to get the ranking. Tupate pia rankings tuweze kupanda juu ndio ikuwe pia easier for players making a move from Kenya direct to places like UK.
We'll take the game to them. We can't worry about what their objectives are and what they have to do. We want to try and win the match, and we want to try and finish third in the group, which I think would be respectable considering the group that we're in.
Now, Kenya's Rizwan Sharania, Njoroge Kibugu, elite amateur John Lejirma, and Uganda's Geita Tador Rodel put on a stellar show in the opening round of the Sunshine Tour East Africa Swing at the Royal Nairobi Golf Club, promising a thrilling battle over the next 2 days. Charania fired a 2 under par 70 sinking birdies on the par 5 second, 14th, 15th and 18th holes, despite bogeys on the 10th and the 13th. Njoroge Kibugu, second on the order of merit, started strongly with 4 birdies but dropped shots on the 9th and 18th. Elite amateur John Lejirma also finished 2 under par after a run of impressive birdies on the front and the back nines. Action continues on Monday at the Royal Nairobi Golf Club with tee time starting at 8 a.m.
Shot 2 under today. Few hiccups on 9 and 18. Otherwise, I hit the ball well and I was happy with the round. I liked my iron play today. It's a lot better than in recent times. I've been working with my coach on that and it's slowly coming together.
After I started with a nice birdie on number 10 to take me to 3 under, I had a disappointing double bogey on number 11, but I did not give up. I forgot about it as soon as I walked off that green. And moving forward, I was able to collect 1 more birdie, so it brought me back to 2 under.
Now, Kibra Youth Boxing Club has been crowned champions for the 4th edition of the Nairobi County Boxing Championships held at the Riruta Basketball Outdoor Court and Kawangware Boxing Club in Nairobi. The Kibra-based side topped the standings with 13 points, narrowly edging out hosts Kawangware Boxing Club and Kasarani Youth Boxing Club, who tied on 12 points. Jericho Youth finished 4th with 8 points. Teams selected from the tournament will represent Kenya at the upcoming Africa Boxing Championships set to be staged at Kasarani Stadium from October 16th to the 25th this year.
It's definitely giving me a good chance to gain experience, but I want bigger things. I want to represent Kenya in the Youth Olympics next year, and then from there I want to go pro when I'm 18 in the States.
Changamoto ningeambia wabunge wengine, ile pesa ya sports fund katika constituencies watilie mkazo waweze kuinua sports zote hasa boxing na michezo zingine kama hizi, ndio vijana wapate kazi ya kufanya na kuwakilisha taifa letu. Wapate pia ajira juu sasa talanta inalipa. Kama vile wasichana wetu walikuwa wanakimbia wa mbio, tunataka pia udipande ya boxing na michezo zingine. Wabunge waweke hiyo mkazo wa support sports kwa county zao na constituencies zao.
Now, ITF Taekwondo players from Nakuru and Nyandarua counties have been assessed and awarded new belts during a grading event held at Gilgil Hills Academy in Nakuru County. The exercise, which covered physical, practical and theoretical aspects, saw most participants advance from the yellow tip category to black, stripe, red and highest level for the beginners. Officials and the grading panel also used the event to identify top performers who will represent Kenya at the East African ITF Taekwondo Championship set for December 3rd, 2025 in Tanzania.
Kile ambacho huwa tuna train kwa physical, practical
na theory ndizo wanakuja kufanya leo. Hiyo inatofautishaga mwanafunzi mwenye ako kwa level ya chini, mwenye ameanzia na kuwa white belt. Kuanzia hapo wanapanda na rank, wakienda juu kuna wanafanya yellow, green, blue. Sasa inakuwaga hivyo.
And one of the challenges that we are facing is about funds. That is our main challenge, and maybe county government and also national government, if they can intervene. This generation or this student, they are going far because they have a lot of potential in this taekwondo.
All right, we're taking another quick break here. When we come back, we're getting into our inaugural town hall session. We'll have a series of these conversations on the transition in the competency-based education. This time, we're starting off with the conversation of the transition from grade 9 to grade 10. That is a movement from junior school to senior school. The inaugural class will be joining in January. That's about 3 months from now. That is also the time when they choose out of 3 pathways. There's STEM, there's social sciences, there's arts, and there's music. There's a lot of concern of whether the teachers are ready for this transition. Are the students themselves ready for this transition? Do they understand what is expected of them? Is the infrastructure supportive of this conversation? This is the first of a series of conversations between Citizen TV and Zizi Afrique Foundation, and also the stakeholders here will be speaking to us. My guests are already seated. You can see right in the middle there is Dr. John Mugu, Executive Director, Zizi Afrique Foundation. On the other side, there on my right, is Martha Mugi. She's the Vice Chair, National Parents Association, Nairobi County. Next to her is Catherine Birir. She's the head of institution Unity Comprehensive School. And next to her on the other side is Dr. William Sugut, head of Directorate of Secondary Education, and that's the senior school. And in the front line, you'll see that there are quite a number of stakeholders there who are in the education sector, including the ones from KISE. KISE is the Kenya Institute of Special Education. You find out from them, are they ready for that transition, and what are the questions that are there at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Citizen Monday Report. See you in just a bit.